Thanks, Elizabeth, for inviting me here. Thanks to Ziti Group. I'm a distinguished professor at Carnegie Mellon University in US. I basically teach our executive education program on the AI, so Chief Data and AI Officer program, our online program, as well as our master's program in managing AI systems. So that's been something that I've been doing for a couple of years. But before that, I was the Chief Global AI Leader for PricewaterhouseCoopers or PwC. I was in that role for at least a couple of decades. And my background is in AI. I started in AI way back in 1985, did my PhD in AI from University of Sydney, spent around a decade in Australia, and then did my MBA, moved on more into the consulting world, then came back to AI and policy as well. So glad to be here. Glad to talk to everyone on what AI is and what it will be.
That's amazing. We've got a surprise for you. And I wanted you to take a walk down memory lane. Okay. So I've got some pictures of you. And I want you to guess when those pictures were taken and where they were taken. You ready? Okay, cool. So I've titled this Snapshot of a Legacy because I think you've had such a fantastic and varied career. So let's start with the first one. Do you remember this picture?
Yeah, so this was probably a few years back, maybe 2019, as it says there in Tech Live in London. I think it was one of the conferences in London, probably 2019.
2019. Okay. Yeah. And the next one? Do you remember this one?
Good question. I don't remember the year. This was probably when I was visiting India with one of the groups there. I would think more like 2015, 16 time frame.
Yeah, definitely it was in India. I think it was somewhere in 2019-ish. You came with strategy and group just for a meeting and walk through the project we're doing. Yeah, glad to connect again here.
No, great to see you. Glad to hear that.
And the final one, there's just one more left.
Okay, yeah, this was 2023. And this was when I retired from PwC. I think there was a retirement party with all my colleagues there.
That is amazing.
Thing is, I think AI, obviously, as many of you know, has been around for quite a while. I think 1955, 56 is where it's attributed. 1956 when the Dartmouth conference happened. 1955 when I think the AI was coined. Right here, where I'm sitting here in Pittsburgh, in Carnegie Mellon University, is one of the founding schools, along with MIT and Stanford, is where AI was essentially initially researched or gave birth to, right? So they're the founding schools, as I call them, for AI. When I entered AI around 1985, even at that time, I would say it was still one of the most sought after disciplines in terms of leading edge, cutting edge. AI goes through these ups and downs, so AI winters and summers, as they call. So when I entered, it was very much in the upswing. There was a lot of things going on around AI, expert systems, knowledge-based systems, knowledge engineering, and some of the very early forms of connectionism. In fact, neural networks have existed. Even before AI existed, neural networks and perceptrons were talked about. This is very different now. Now, I think the scale at which everything is happening, and also the advances in AI, and therefore the scale and investments in AI is very, very different. So in that sense, it's sort of permeated through the broader sector now than what it did, let's say, end of 1990s, 1995, 1998, when it was at the peak and then started going down again. So I would say it's more rapid growth over the past, let's say 20 years, 15 to 20 years. So, I mean, AI, again, it's always fascinated with the two sides, right? So there's the opportunity side, and then there is a risk side of it. So in terms of the opportunity, I think just the advances that have happened and what we are able to do today compared to what we were doing when I started my thesis in '85 is sort of orders of magnitude different, right? So the opportunity side of it is, I think, huge. At the same time, there is also the risk side of it. So the negative side of it is also huge in terms of the damage it can cause, the kind of social impact, both positive and negative, it can cause, right? So I tend to think of AI in multiple spheres. Again, there's both positive and negative in each one of these. One is just at an individual level, right? So I'm pretty sure all of you here, and I would estimate at least a couple of billion people out of the 7 billion people have had some kind of a touch point with AI, right? So just in terms of the usage of all these tools that we hear about, ChatGPT, Gemini, and others, I think there are roughly 1.2, 1.3 billion people using it in some form or the other. So it is touching a lot of people. So individually, people are using it, maybe getting influenced by it in some way, positive or negative. So look at the consumer view of the world. Then I would go to the next sphere. How is it impacting companies? Companies more broadly as an organizational unit, also as workers within those companies. So that's the sort of the second level, peeling the onion, right? So the second level there. Then the third level I would look at is very much the nations, the national governments, and how they have been impacted, and now their positions on AI, on either the opportunity side or on the protecting the citizens on the risk side. Then there is a much broader societal level. The government level is more as a government entity, but then broadly as a society, as culture, as humanity, how are we viewing AI? That's a very broad lens there. In all of these different levels, there is a positive side and a negative side. And always try to get the thing in balance, not saying that everything should stop because of the risks that we see. Neither do I see everything as being very rosy, and therefore we should just go and exploit AI to the maximum, right? So the answer is somewhere in between, and then trying to strike that balance across all of these levels is not an easy thing, and it's also very culturally dependent, very contextual, and that's the challenge. That's the challenge for all of us. I'll give you two examples of the impact of AI. So one is two people, both are blind. They decided that there's so much of the internet that is inaccessible to the blind. There's only, I think, 7 or 8% of the internet that the blind people can access. Obviously, they have not brailled and so on, so they can't access it. With the existing technology, not even research, with the existing technology, they said, why don't we go and take all of the technical material that is there in specific areas? So they started with computer science and technology to specific areas, and essentially audio enable them, get those documents. But now, instead of, obviously the blind people can't read the screen, but we'll actually have it voice enabled. Now, when you voice enable them, again, they're using very much the open source tools and all the technology that we have now. Now, when you convert it into audio, it's not that you have to just go with one language, i.e. English. They have actually got it in more than a dozen different languages. So now the blind people in all of the local states in India get information about specific technical aspects, about specific programs for the blind, specific job opportunities for the blind. They're getting it not through a text interface that they can't read and they have to rely on someone else to tell them, but they get it in an audio format. The other example is fascinating. There's a 75-year-old man in south of India who for the past, I think, 45, 50 years has been practicing local medicine. So for the cows and goats, basically a veterinary local specialist. And people around this district all know him and go to him for advice of what happens to if my cow does this or my goat does this, and all the farm animals. Now, this gentleman who is 75 years old said, hey, I want this thing to be widely available across India. And what he has done is essentially taken the images of all of this and then essentially converted it into a WhatsApp, where he's actually giving advice. There is a chat bot that is giving the advice based on all of his work. And now he's taking that from this one state to all states. So can we find the specific plants in the local areas, convert it into the local language, and then give advice on people on how to treat, using natural medicine, how to treat the various animals. Seems trivial, but I think the way in which he has approached it and the way he has been able to do that is phenomenal. So that's the potential I see for AI on the positive side, both on the scientific realm on one side, and then the other one is very much on the societal realm, right? So very accessible to a 75-year-old who doesn't know anything about large language model or AI or computer science. He's actually using some of the local students, some of our help, and getting it done. He has the vision for doing it. He has the expertise in what he's doing, but now he can actually make it real for a much larger group than his local community.